Hello, children. This is Manish Yadav, your English teacher. This video session is very essential and helpful for the students of class 11th. In this video session, I would like to discuss about the summary for the chapter Landscape of the Soul. This chapter is very difficult because we have to know two stories related to Asian and Western paintings. We have to know the difference between Asian and Western paintings. Next, that is the concept of Shan, shui. And last content in this chapter is about the concept of outsider art. This video session is very helpful for the students of class 11th because in this video they would be able to know the summary as well as outlines of this chapter, and they have not to manage a long span of time to go through the chapter to know what happens in it. With the help of this video, you can save your time and you can understand the conclusion as well as the wholesome of this chapter. I have tried my best to shorten the length of the video, and I have kept everything which is useful for the information related to this chapter. So it is better to begin without being delayed. Now, as you could see on the screen, the first point is the stories related to Asian and Western paintings. I have given 4 outlines at the very beginning of this video session. And the first point is the stories related to Asian and Western paintings. We would know 2 stories. First one is related to Asian painting, and second, that is a Western painting. Second outline is the difference between Asian and Western paintings. In the second outline, we would differentiate between Asian and Western paintings. Third outline is the concept of Shan, shui. And fourth, this is the concept of outsider art. Let you know about each outline one by one. First, that is about Asian art. This is a story which relates the Emperor Xuanzang and the painter Wu Daozi. This is also known as Chinese art because these both people belong to China, and this story relates to the Emperor of China, and his name was Xuanzang. And second character is a painter whose name is Wu Daozi. What happens in this story? First point that has been given on the screen is the emperor ordered the painter to make a painting to decorate the palace wall. The emperor Xuanzang, he ordered the painter Wu Daoji to make a painting to decorate the palace wall. Imperial court of China was, you know, about to be decorated with the help of painting and landscape. Second point, that is B, the painting was kept under cover so that only the emperor could see it. And it was not allowed for everyone to watch and see the painting. It was kept under cover and only the king could see. The emperor could see the painting only. C. Point number C, that has been described. The emperor appreciated the painting for its discovering forests, high mountains, waterfalls, clouds floating in the sky, men on hilly paths, and birds in flight. Everything that has been given in this point C, emperor appreciated, he admired a lot the painting for its discovering forests. Painter created discovering forests in his painting, high mountains, falling waters, floating clouds in the sky, moving men on hilly paths, and birds flying in the sky. So everything was attracting and getting the attention mostly of the emperor. So he admired and appreciated the painting too much. Point number D, that is the painter attracted the emperor's attention towards a cave. He said that a spirit lived there. The point number D, that is about the attraction of the painter. Okay, he attracted the emperor's attention towards a cave. He also drew a cave in his landscape, and he said about the cave that a spirit lived there. In his painting, he made a cave, and he also told the emperor that a spirit lived in the cave. Now, the next point, he clapped his hands, and the door of the cave opened. The painter entered into the cave and did not return ever. The painting also disappeared from the wall. The painter was never seen in the world again. So, what happens as the conclusion of this story? When the painter clapped his hands, the door of cave was opened, and the painter entered into the cave, and he did not return ever. The painting was also vanished and disappeared from the wall, and the painter was never seen in the world again. He has also vanished from this world. So this is the conclusion and the story that relates Asian painting. Now the next is Western painting. What happens to that story? Let you know. The second story is related to Western part. What happens in this story? Let you know one by one. Point number A. In 15th of century, a blacksmith, namely Quintin Metzis, fell in love with a painter's daughter. The father was not ready to accept a blacksmith as his son-in-law. This is a story relates a blacksmith whose name was Quintin Metzis. He fell in love with the painter's daughter, and the painter's daughter was pretty, and she was a lovely girl, so that Quintin Metzis fell in love with her. But daughter's father was not ready to accept a blacksmith uh, as his son-in-law because he was professionally a blacksmith, and daughter's father was a professional painter. So he was not agreed to accept that relationship. Uh, so what happens next? So Quentin one day entered into the painter's studio and painted a fly on his latest panel with such a skill that everything looked real. One day, Quentin, that boy, entered or broke into painter's studio and painted a house fly over there on his latest panel with such a skill that everything looked real. He made a fly over there and it was looking really. So, what happens next? When the painter returned, he found the fly so real that he wanted to eat it. When the painter, daughter's father, came into his studio, he found the fly so real. It seemed that a fly was sitting there and it was looking real, so that he wants or he tries to hit the fly, but it was not really. So what happens next? He immediately hired the painter. Finally, he got to know who created and who made that painting. So finally, he hired the painter as his apprentice and agreed to marry his daughter to him. So this is the second story which relates to Western painting, uh, in which a blacksmith whose name was Quentin Metzis, he fell with love. He fell in love with the painter's daughter, and finally he got married with her. Uh, what happens next? And the third outline, it was the difference between Asian art and Asian painting and Western painting. Let you know. Western painting. The Western painting. We were talking about the difference between Western and Asian painting. First difference, that is, the Western painting tries to achieve illusionistic likeness, but the Asian painting tries to achieve inner life and spirit. This is the first difference between Western and Asian painting. That Western painting tries to achieve illusionistic. It is a artificial likeness, but the Asian painting tries to achieve inner life as well as spirit. Inner connectivity of the human being, and as they feel, the observation and uh, internal feeling which relates to their previous life and their experience. Now, the second one is the Western tries to reproduce the actual view of anything while an Asian painter does not do so. The second point is about the tries to reproduce the actual view of anything. Okay, in this art, the artist tries to make and draw an actual view of anything. Okay, while an Asian painter does not do so. Third point, that is, a Western painter wants you to see the painting from a specific angle, but an Asian painter allows you to enter into the painting from any angle. The third point is about the specific angle, and enter into the painting from any angle. If you see the painting from a specific angle, this is admirable for the Western painting, but it is not admirable for Asian painting. They allow you to enter into the painting from any angle to understand and to connect it with you. Now, the fourth, that is, a Western painter wants you to see through his eyes, but an Asian painter wants you to see and understand through his mind. And a Western painting, this is very charming for your eyes, but Asian painting it is understandable through your mind. If you do not use your mind, you can't understand an ancient painting, while a Western painting could be seen with eyes of humans. So the last point, that is in a Western painting you can travel fast, but you have to walk slow to understand it section by section. This is opposite in Asian painting rather than Western painting. So you have to go very slowly and understand it section by section. He wants you to go through a Shan shui, with the concept of Shan shui. This is a very difficult to understand the concept of Shan shui. What is this? Let you know. Shan shui means mountain water. What is the meaning of this word Shan shui? It means mountain water. Mountain and water together make a landscape. A third point, that is the mountain is yang, reaching vertically towards heaven, and the water is yin, horizontal and resting on the earth. Fifth point, that is yang is stable, warm and dry, while yin is fluid, moist and cool. Sixth point, that is yang is masculine but yin is feminine. And last, a third element is also there, where a third level is also there, where the interaction of yang and yin takes place, just like pranayam, where a stage comes between breathe in and breathe out, which makes us to feel the spirituality or Shan shui. So this is the concept of a spirituality or individuality, in which we feel the third element, that is pranayam, and something different rather than these. I mean, yin and yang, these are complement of each other. And for examples, day and night. Without night, day is impossible. Cold and hot. Hot or heat is impossible without cold. Sit and stand. So these are the words, which are complement of each other. Sun and moon, day and night, earth and sky. So these are the examples of yin and yang. So what happens next? Let me know about the fourth outline, that is outsider art. In this art, the genre of outsider art is described as the art of those who have no rights to be artists, as they have received no formal training, yet show talent and artistic insight. Their works get applause even more than the mainstream of artists. It means it is a genre of outsider art. These types of artists do not have a training, formal training, a training about art, and they show more talent and artistic insight in their works, and they get applause even more than the mainstream of artists. They work better, they make better art than mainstream artists. This genre is better known by the work of Nekchan, a resistance of India, who created a garden sculpted with stone and recycled materials. The garden is known to be the rock garden situated at Chandigarh. Uh, a third point, his art is actually based on the notion of raw, where anything can prove the raw material, as in the case of rock garden sculpture made of broken bangles by Nekchan. So this is the great example of Nekchan, who sculpted the stone and recycled materials to uh, make an art in the garden. And the garden was known to be the rock garden situated at Chandigarh. Last point, that is Nek Chand is the biggest contributor to outsider art, and the fifth issue of Raw Vision, a UK-based magazine, publishes the image of Nek Chand's rock garden sculpture "Woman by the Waterfall" on its cover. So the chapter has been finished, students, and we have known about the four outlines as I discussed at the very beginning of this video session. So I hope it would be clear to everyone. Thanks for watching and keep learning.